I'm so glad you're here, my friend. This gentle meditation is designed to help you unwind, quiet your mind, and slip into deep, restorative relaxation. As you listen, allow your body to soften, your breath to slow, and your thoughts to gently drift away so you can fully surrender to rest. Let's begin with a soft arrival, like stepping through a quiet doorway into a room that understands you and welcomes you exactly as you are. Before we settle in, I would truly love to know where you are listening from, because seeing your city, your state, your province, or your country in the comments helps our circle feel close and beautifully connected. Please leave a friendly comment with your location when it feels comfortable, since those little notes become a constellation of comfort that reminds us we are breathing together across distance. Thank you for sharing your corner of the world, and thank you for choosing this time to care for yourself. Find a position that feels supportive and kind, whether you are seated with feet resting on the floor, cross-legged on a cushion, or lying down with a blanket lightly covering you. Let your spine lengthen in a way that feels natural, as if a gentle thread is lifting the crown of your head while your shoulders soften and slide away from your ears. Place your hands where they can rest without effort, perhaps palms down for grounding or palms up for openness, and allow your jaw to loosen just a little. If it feels safe, soften your gaze or close your eyes, and give yourself permission to be unhurried and unpressured in this moment. We will begin with breath that is simple, generous, and friendly, because the most supportive practices are often the most gentle. Inhale slowly through your nose and notice the coolness of the air, the way it travels down the throat, spreads through the ribs, and arrives in the belly. Pause for a comfortable heartbeat at the top of the inhale, not to hold tightly, but to notice that you are here, breathing, living, and capable of softening. Exhale through the nose or mouth with a quiet sigh, and imagine the breath carrying away fragments of hurry, threads of tension, and leftover echoes from the day. Let us shape the breath into an easy pattern, steady and kind. Breathe in for a slow count of 4, allowing the belly to rise and the ribs to widen like doors opening onto a peaceful garden. Rest briefly at the top, long enough to whisper to yourself that this moment is yours. Breathe out for a slow count of 6, inviting your nervous system to settle as the breath lengthens and leaves with grace. As you continue in this rhythm, notice the first place in your body that agrees to soften, because softness often begins at the edges and moves inward. Perhaps your forehead smooths like calm water, or your cheeks loosen, or your shoulders drop a patient inch toward the ground. Offer a quiet thank you to whichever area softened first, since your body responds beautifully to appreciation and kindness. We will invite awareness to travel slowly from head to toe, bathing each region in warm attention. Bring your focus to the crown of your head and imagine a soft light resting there like morning sunlight through a gentle curtain. Let that light move across your scalp and down your forehead, ironing away tiny creases and easing the space between your brows. Guide the warmth behind your eyes, letting the small muscles that work so hard all day begin to rest in darkness and trust. Invite the glow to melt along the temples and down the bridge of the nose, softening the delicate bones and opening the passages of breath. Let the cheeks release and allow your lips to part slightly so the tongue can rest heavy and wide on the floor of the mouth. Feel a wave of ease flow into the hinge of the jaw, encouraging it to unclench and to believe you when you say there is nothing to hold. Bring attention to the back of the head and the gentle curve of the neck, and imagine space opening between each vertebra like pages of a book loosening under a soft breeze. Let the shoulders descend and broaden, as though the evening air were lifting weight from them and setting it down beside you with tender care. Sense the collarbones floating like calm boats on a glassy lake, rising slightly with each inhale and settling with each exhale. Travel with your awareness across the upper back and shoulder blades, inviting these wide wings to rest after carrying the day. Let your breath slide between the shoulder blades, creating a little more room for ease with every gentle cycle. Feel warmth move through the center of the chest, greeting your heart with gratitude for its steady devotion and unwavering rhythm. Guide the breath into the rib cage, and imagine the spaces between the ribs widening just enough to welcome comfort more fully. Follow the breath to the belly, which is allowed to be soft, natural, and at ease, free from pressure and expectation. If the belly has been bracing, invite it to unbrace with each exhale, trusting that release can be safer than holding. Let the glow drift into the low back and the sacrum, and picture a cushion of warm night air supporting this tender foundation. Bring kindness to the pelvis and hips, imagining the bowl of the pelvis settling into the surface beneath you with complete confidence. If it feels comfortable, imagine a quiet exhale washing through this area like a steady stream smoothing stones. Allow your attention to move down through the thighs, welcoming the large muscles to soften their plans for movement. Invite the knees to feel unburdened and appreciated, recognizing the way they carry you through so many changes of direction each day. Let ease flow along the shins and calves, where tightness can quietly gather, and imagine that tightness loosening in gentle spirals. Relax the ankles and feet, and let all 10 toes receive the message that they have done enough for today. Imagine the soles of your feet warming pleasantly, as if they were near the edge of a calm fire or resting on sun-warmed wood. Feel how this simple warmth communicates safety to the rest of your body, and let that feeling spread upward again. Return to the breath and sense its texture now, perhaps smoother, quieter, and more generous. If a thought wanders in with urgency, greet it kindly and let it move through like a small cloud crossing a wide sky. You do not have to chase or wrestle thoughts tonight because your job is simply to remain the sky. We will choose a gentle intention for this practice, a sentence that fits easily inside a breath. You might quietly say, "I am safe in this moment," or "I am allowed to rest now," or "I welcome ease into my body and mind." Let your chosen phrase ride the next few inhales and exhales, not as a demand, but as a compassionate invitation to soften. As you breathe with your intention, imagine a circle of light forming around you at just the right distance for comfort. Inside this circle, you are free to slow down, to set things aside, and to be exactly as you are. Outside the circle, the world can keep moving, and you are allowed to let it do so without your attention for a little while. We will introduce a simple breath pattern that encourages calm without strain. Inhale for 4, rest for a beat, exhale for 6, and rest for a beat, allowing the rhythm to be flexible and kind. Let this pattern repeat for several cycles, and notice how the longer exhale tells your body that safety is present and that vigilance can nap. Now let the count fade and return to your natural breath, which already knows how to care for you. Sense the quality of your presence becoming softer and wider, like candlelight that brightens the room without glare. You are practicing the art of arriving, and arriving is often the best beginning. We will explore a short visualization to anchor attention without effort. Imagine yourself at the edge of evening, where the last notes of sunset meet the first notes of starlight. A small wooden bench waits beside a path, and when you sit, the wood feels smooth and warm, as if the day saved its gentlest heat for you. As you inhale, the horizon brightens a shade, and as you exhale, the colors soften into velvet quiet. A lantern hangs above the bench, and it represents your attention, steady, patient, and kind. You do not need a spotlight here, because the soft light is enough to make everything clear that needs to be clear. Bring your awareness to sound, both near and far, and let the environment be part of the practice rather than an interruption. If there are noises, imagine them as waves that rise and fall, while you remain the stable shoreline receiving them. Your breath continues its quiet rhythm even as the world hums gently around you. We will do a slow breath scan for 3 cycles, letting attention travel with the inhale and the exhale. On your next inhale, invite awareness from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet, like a soft elevator of light moving through each level of you. On the exhale, invite awareness to rise from the soles back to the crown, carrying away any leftover strain that is ready to leave. Repeat 2 more times at a pace that feels kind. and trust the body's quiet wisdom to guide you. If judgment about doing it right appears, greet it like a visitor. Offer it a comfortable chair at the edge of the room and continue breathing. Meditation thrives on gentleness rather than performance, and your kindness toward yourself is already the most advanced technique. Let this truth settle like warm tea inside your chest. We will anchor with touch because the body understands this language instantly. If it feels supportive, place one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly, and notice how breath fills the space beneath your palms. Let your hands be steady witnesses to the rise and fall, simple and reassuring, present without pressure. Return your hands to their resting place and give your face permission to become even softer, like warm wax relaxing under a friendly candle. Invite the throat to feel spacious, and notice how each easy swallow clears a path for comfort to travel. Sense your ears listening for kindness rather than critique, and offer them the steady sound of your breathing as a peaceful companion. We will set a compassionate boundary with thoughts by using an image that keeps you in the role of gentle gatekeeper. Imagine a small garden gate at the edge of your attention, and when thoughts arrive, open the gate, nod with respect, and allow them to continue down the path without following. Your breath tends the garden, and the garden rewards you with quiet. Invite a small moment of gratitude that does not need to be grand. Think of one thing from today that felt good or simply okay. Perhaps a sip of water, a smile from a stranger, a patch of sunlight, or the decision to press play on this practice. Let that memory warm the center of your chest like a pocket-sized sunrise that is bright enough to see yet gentle enough for evening. If a difficult moment from the day appears, acknowledge it without reliving it and tell yourself, "That was hard, and I did my best with what I had." Place that moment on a nearby shelf in the visualization, trusting that it will still be there later if it needs attention, and that rest can hold it for now. The ability to set things down temporarily is not avoidance, it is skillful care. Adjust your posture with tenderness, refreshing alertness without strain. If seated, picture your sit bones rooting into the cushion while the crown of your head subtly floats, creating length that feels effortless. If lying down, let the back body widen into the surface beneath you, as though the bed or mat were learning your shape and gladly accommodating it. We will take 3 breaths with an optional soft hum on the exhale, because vibration can soothe the nervous system and invite deeper calm. Inhale slowly for 4, exhale for 6 with a gentle hum, and feel the vibration travel through the chest, the throat, and the face. Repeat twice more. Then allow the hum to fade on its own and notice the thicker quiet that follows. Let your breathing return to its natural pace and sense how the room meets you now with a little more softness. Notice the temperature of the air, the subtle pressure of clothing or blanket, and the way light sits behind your eyelids like a calm field at dusk. You are practicing friendly observation, which is attention without demand. If you have not already, please share in the comments where you are listening from. Whether it is a busy city, a quiet village, a campus dorm, a night shift break room, or a cozy corner at home. Reading your locations helps our community remember that gentleness can travel, and that we are practicing together even when we are apart. Thank you for adding your pin to our map of care. We will gather our practice with a short mantra sequence that comforts the mind without crowding it. On the inhale, silently say, "I breathe in ease," and on the exhale, silently say, "I breathe out tension," letting the words be soft enough to blend with sensation. Repeat for several breaths, and then let the words fade, leaving only the feeling they introduced. Bring awareness to your hands and notice their warmth, their gentle weight, and perhaps the faint pulse that reminds you of your living rhythm. Allow your hands to grow a little heavier with each exhale and a little warmer with each inhale, settling into a rightness that asks for nothing. Invite the same rightness into your feet, which can rest fully without planning the next step. As we transition, decide what comes next for you, whether that is continuing into deeper meditation, sitting in quiet reflection, or gliding into sleep. Remind yourself that you can return to this breath, this posture, and this circle of light at any time, because the doorway you opened is always available. You have built that doorway with attention and kindness, and such architecture endures. We will seal our practice with 3 promises carried by breath. Inhale with the promise to be gentle with yourself, and exhale with the promise to allow rest when rest is needed. Inhale with the promise to return when the mind wanders, and exhale with the promise to forgive the wandering. Inhale with the promise to listen to your body's wisdom, and exhale with the promise to respect what you hear. Bring tiny movements to the fingers and the toes, simple and slow, as if stirring a peaceful lake with the lightest ripple. If your eyes are closed, you may keep them closed and rest, or you may blink them open gradually, letting the light meet you in layers. Notice colors, shapes, and the way shadows soften along familiar edges, and let gratitude drape over your shoulders like a comfortable shawl. You're doing wonderful. You have already begun the most important part, which is simply arriving for yourself and letting your breath lead the way. There is no race here and no finish line to cross, because rest is not a competition, and your body knows how to come home at its own gentle pace. Let your shoulders soften as if they have remembered how to drop keys into a quiet dish by the door, and feel the simple relief of putting the day down. Allow the space between your back and the surface beneath you to feel like a conversation, with support speaking first and your muscles happily answering back. Your jaw can loosen, your tongue can rest, and the tiny muscles around your eyes can smooth into the shape they choose when they trust that nothing more is required. Notice how the air arrives, cool and kind, and how it leaves just a touch warmer, proof that your body is turning breath into comfort. You are allowed to take up space with your inhale, and you are allowed to give that space back with your exhale, and this exchange is a friendship that steadies you. Every cycle writes another calm line across the canvas of this evening, and the picture grows simpler and more welcoming with each quiet stroke. In your mind, a door opens onto a peaceful lane washed in moonlight, and the stones in the path look like rounded shells polished by listening waves. You step onto the lane with your attention rather than your feet, because stillness can wander when the mind travels kindly. The lane leads you through a garden that has memorized your name, and the hedges lean in like old friends who are soft at the edges and bright at the heart. A wooden sign points toward a meadow named the Gentle Field, and the letters are carved in a hand you somehow recognize. You follow the sign without effort, the way water follows its favorite curve, and the night seems to breathe along with you. Each star overhead is the size of a quiet promise, and the moon is a generous bowl tilted just enough to pour light where you need it most. At the edge of the meadow, you find a bench made from 2 patient branches and a plank that once was part of a boat that knew many calm mornings. When you sit, the wood holds you like a memory that chose to stay, and the fibers whisper that resting is an art, and you are practicing it beautifully. Grass sways in long, unhurried waves, and the night air carries the scent of clean rain and the faintest sweetness of clover. If thoughts arrive with urgent voices, you can nod to them like polite neighbors and let them continue down the path, because not every idea is a guest that needs tea tonight. Some thoughts are simply weather, and weather passes more quickly when we stop trying to hold it still. Your breath remains the sky behind every cloud, wide and calm and deeply familiar. Bring a soft light to the crown of your head, as if the moon has placed a small warm hand there, and let it melt across your scalp. Let the light smooth your forehead and the space between your brows, and invite the lines of concern to slide away like threads released from a kind seam ripper. Allow the light to pool behind your eyes where small muscles work hard all day, and give them a permission slip to rest without needing to earn it. Guide the warmth along your temples and down the bridge of your nose, then across your cheeks where expression lives, and soften whatever stories still cling to the face. Let the jaw hinge release, part your teeth slightly, and rest your tongue behind the lower front teeth like a bird settling into a trusted branch. Feel the base of your skull widen with the next exhale, and sense a quiet corridor opening through the neck where breath can stroll at an easy pace. Invite your shoulders to drape like shawls around the top of your ribs, and imagine they are two tired travelers laying down their packs at last. Let the collarbones float like calm boats on a glass lake, rising a little with the inhale and returning with the exhale in a rhythm too gentle to measure. Sense your shoulder blades settling flat and broad, like pages of a favorite book open to the chapter called Enough. Bring attention to the center of your chest and feel the quiet lantern there, steady and warm. With each inhale, the lantern brightens within a trusted circle. With each exhale, its light spreads outward to your arms and hands, leaving a trail of ease. Offer your heart a simple gratitude for its devoted work, and feel how gratitude softens everything it touches. The light travels down your back, vertebra by vertebra, like dawn moving over a friendly ridge. As it reaches the low back, imagine a cushion of night air rising to meet it, supporting places that often hold more than their share. Your hips respond, settling into that cushion with a trust that says, yes, this is the softness I have been waiting for. Let the warmth move through your pelvis and into your thighs, untying the quiet knots that accumulate on busy days. At the knees, picture a gentle hand smoothing the joint, offering appreciation for every step they have conspired to make. The calves unspool from their spirals, the shins cool like moonlit stones, and the ankles forget the habit of bracing. When the warmth arrives at your feet, let each toe unfurl like a small sail catching a friendly breeze, and feel the soles grow pleasantly heavy, safe, and at home. Your entire body now hums at the lowest, most peaceful volume, as if a choir of tissues and cells has agreed to sing one word together: rest. You do not need to conduct this choir because it already knows the song. From the bench, a path of dew-bright stones invites you to a hill that slopes like a yawn against the sky. You rise in imagination only because your physical body can stay exactly where it is, and you will travel by breath and by softness. Each imagined step rings a single bell tone that fades into the hush, and between the tones, your nervous system discovers deeper places to settle. At the top of the hill, a small observatory waits, round and welcoming, with a glass dome opened like a calm eye to the night. Inside, a nest-shaped chair rests beneath the dome, woven from the idea of comfort and the memory of patience. When you sit, you discover that the chair was made with your shape in mind, and your muscles understand the message immediately. A simple telescope is pointed toward a cluster of stars that resembles a tiny village with lamplit lanes. You do not need to look through the lens to feel the village, because its glow arrives like a polite visitor, bringing the sensation of being welcomed. In that village, all errands are finished, all doors are half open, and everyone speaks softly so the night can keep its promise. Breathe in as if you are filling a lake with calm water, and breathe out as if you are smoothing that lake with your palm. If it feels good, let your exhale be 1 or 2 heartbeats longer than your inhale, because longer exhales tell every listening system that you are safe. Keep that message on repeat, a quiet refrain that the body never tires of hearing. We step back outside and meet the sky again, where an aurora has unfurled in patient curtains of green, blue, and violet. The colors move as slowly as breath, arriving with the inhale and softening with the exhale, like a conversation between lungs and light. A cool sweetness touches your cheeks, not cold, just clarifying, the way a kind word clears a cluttered thought. Below, a chain of lakes mirrors the show, and on one small island a watchfire glows without smoke, a candle-sized star keeping company with sleeping birds. We honor the watchfire with a slow breath and a nod, and it answers with a single spark that vanishes as gently as it came. Everything agrees to be quiet, and quiet proves to be surprisingly generous. Let your throat feel spacious and the back of your mouth easy, and notice how swallowing grows unforced when the mind stops insisting. The tiny muscles around your eyes blur into comfort, and the edges of thoughts soften like sugar melting into warm tea. You do not have to hold focus tightly, because soft focus is perfectly suited for rest. A wind shaped like a lullaby arrives, threading through the open dome and over the hill and through your ribs without stirring a single worry. It carries the scent of pine and clean water, and your chest rises to meet it like a shoreline receiving loyal tides. Your exhale leaves like a traveler slipping into a trusted chair, familiar and complete. Now a terrace appears at the edge of the hill, hung with vines of dusk lilac that yawn their petals wider with every inhale. A cushioned bench rests there, and when you recline in imagination, the cushion understands every curve that asks to be held. A blanket settles over you, weighted just enough to tell your nervous system the world has been handled for now, and you can let go. If there is any place in your body that still grips a little, send your next 3 exhales there like warm wind across a kite string. On the first exhale, the string loosens. On the second, the string no longer buzzes. On the third, the string rests against an open palm. You are that open palm, and openness is your superpower tonight. Bring to mind one small moment from today that felt good or simply okay. Perhaps the way light fell across a wall, or the taste of water, or the decision to pause now. Let that moment glow in your chest like a pocket-sized sunrise, warm enough to feel, gentle enough not to glare. If no moment appears, the act of looking kindly becomes the moment, and you can let gratitude rise to meet it. If a difficult memory peeks around the corner, greet it with tenderness and say, "That was hard, and I did my best with the strength I had then." Invite it to rest on a nearby ledge where the night can keep it company, and promise to return with rested hands if attention is needed later. This is not avoidance. This is skillful kindness, and skillful kindness makes healing more possible. The terrace begins to dim like a lantern being turned to the exact setting your eyelids prefer, and a deeper hush gathers in the corners. Your breath has found its favorite pace, and your ribs move with the steady grace of a tide that knows the shoreline by heart. Time grows round and soft, and the moment you are in feels generously enough. We carry the terrace feeling with us as we drift over a moon bridge that arches across a valley of velvet dark. Dew sits on the railings like strings of pearls placed there by careful dawns, each bead a reminder that patience can be beautiful. When we reach the far side, a door waits with a ribbon on its handle and a note that reads, "Welcome, everything is ready for you." Open the door in your mind and step into a room that looks like the inside of a contented sigh, all soft corners and warm light that does not argue. There is a bed shaped from cloud and memory foam and kindness, and it remembers every position in which you have ever felt safe. When you lie down in imagination, your body in the present mirrors that ease without needing to think about how. The pillow cups your head the way a shoreline cups the sea at low tide, and your facial muscles slip into the expression they wear when dreams are near. Your hands settle palm down or palm up in shapes that mean receiving rather than reaching, and your legs lengthen into the exact angle that says yes. The blanket is a whisper of weight, the air is a steady kindness, and everything that needs to dim has already dimmed. If a thought rises to ask how much longer, you can answer with the voice of the tide, as long as it takes to be gentle. Sleep like softness, and you have made softness, and those two will find each other the way magnets do, without strain. It is already happening, quietly and reliably, like seeds doing their work beneath good soil. Breathe in and say inside, "I am safe in this moment," and let the words float through you like a warm ribbon that settles naturally across your chest. Breathe out and say, "I am allowed to rest now," and notice how your belly agrees and unbraces another layer. Repeat once more if you like, then let the phrases dissolve into feeling, because feelings are better at holding you than words. Your inner scene and your outer body begin to overlap. Two transparent pages aligning until they read as one story called Ease. The chair becomes the bed. The terrace becomes the room. The aurora becomes the darkness behind your eyelids. And everything organizes itself around comfort. You do not need to manage any of this, since your systems are fluent in rest when invited kindly. If a pocket of tightness whispers from somewhere, perhaps a shoulder or a hip, or the small muscles near the spine, send a tiny breath there like a letter addressed to dear friend. Say, "You may release," and then read your own reply with the next exhale, which says, "Thank you for doing your best until now." Friendship with your body is a practice, and tonight you are practicing it with quiet excellence. The night outside the room keeps its generous watch, and a star drifts by at the perfect speed for sleepy eyes. Somewhere far away, a breeze changes direction with no urgency at all, reminding you that gentle changes are still changes, and they count. You are changing into rest in exactly that way. Place your attention lightly in the small space behind your heart, and imagine a candle that burns without smoke and without hurry. The candle is not for seeing, it is for feeling warmed by being alive. You do not need to tend it because presence is generous fuel and you have more than enough. Feel once more the ground of support beneath you, steady as a shoreline, kind as a familiar path, and perfectly matched to the weight you carry and the weight you are ready to set down. Your breath is an old friend who arrived exactly on time, and its rhythm keeps you company like a lullaby that never asks for applause. You are doing wonderfully, not because you achieved something, but because you allowed something softer to happen. If sleep has already begun to gather you up, you can let the remaining words fall away like petals that know the ground is soft. If you are still hovering at the threshold, savor the sweetness of not rushing, because thresholds are also places and they deserve our kindness too. Either way, you are being carried toward the quiet your body has been seeking, and the night understands how to finish the work you started. May your dreams wander along lantern-lit paths where nothing important is lost and everything heavy learns to float. May your body rest the way a lake rests at dusk, with small ripples smoothing into a single calm sheet. May you wake only when morning is ready to meet you with a gentleness that matches this one. Now let's fly across the sleepy night sky. You are safe to lift away from the edges of the day, and you are welcome to drift on the kind currents of your own breathing, because your breath remembers the way to peace. Feel the surface beneath you holding your weight with patient devotion, and let your shoulders loosen as if they were made of twilight sliding down a quiet hill. Inhale and imagine feather-light wings unfurling along the back of your heart, widening your sense of ease without asking you to do anything at all. Exhale and sense the room agree to hush, as if the air itself understands that tonight is for softness, and your body is ready to listen. We rise so gently that even the smallest sounds grow round and far away, like shells placed to the ear and left to dream. Your thoughts become little boats moored safely in a sheltered cove, and you do not need to untie a single knot because rest is already anchoring you. Everything that can wait will wait with patience, and everything that must soften is already learning how with each long and friendly breath you take. Above us stretches a velvet canopy painted with indigo and deep violet, and the first stars gather like kind faces at a porch light that never goes out. Their glow arrives with patient wisdom, gentle enough for sleepy eyes and steady enough for a tender heart that wants quiet. As you glide, the stars keep pace beside you with companionable calm, as if they have decided to walk you home. We drift past rooftops where windows offer their last golden nods, and chimneys release ribbons of breath that unwind into the night like long, contented sighs. Gardens soften under dew and moonlight, and pathways that carried many footsteps now rest like sleepy rivers under a blanket of shadow. The world breathes with you even in its quiet, and you can lean into that rhythm as if it were a lullaby written for your nervous system. Let your jaw soften and let your tongue rest heavy and wide so the breath can pass like a friendly tide through an open harbor. Allow your eyelids to grow relaxed and pleasantly warm, while your attention grows feather light and travels just ahead like a small lantern showing the way. This is the kind of traveling where stillness moves and movement rests, and both agree to be easy. A river of clouds appears, shining like polished silver beneath the moon, and we settle upon it the way a leaf finds a gentle stream at dusk. The cloud holds you in cool softness, the way fresh sheets greet a tired traveler with quiet promise and trustworthy calm. The sky rocks you with a patient sway older than worry, a motion that remembers lullabies long before words. From here, constellations begin a quiet choreography, tracing shapes that have soothed wanderers for countless centuries. There is a cradle woven from light and patience, a teapot pouring comfort into the dark, and a necklace of tiny lamps humming in unison. These star stories speak without sentences, and your body understands them because they speak in the grammar of release. Breathe in and let trust sink into your shoulders, clearing away the old habit of holding everything at once. Breathe out and feel gravity become a gentle welcome instead of a pull, a homecoming that invites your muscles to rest inside their own warmth. Your whole body hums at a low and even volume, like a quiet choir repeating the word ease in a language made of breath. The cloud carries us toward a sky meadow sown into the night, where dusk lilies open with your inhale and fold with your exhale, as though they have always listened to you. A pale path of stardust wanders forward and asks only for curiosity and unhurried attention. Each imagined step taps a tiny bell that rings once and fades into hush. And in the space between rings, your whole system settles deeper. At the meadow's edge, a stream of starlight flows without hurry, beads of light rolling over one another in a loop that never ends. We kneel and dip our fingers into the glow, and the circles that widen carry the day's edges away until they are only distance and then only calm. You watch without needing to follow because letting go does not require a chase. A moon-pale moth keeps gentle company, sketching soft rings on the air with unhurried wings. And when it lands on your palm, it feels like a promise to be kind. The moth reminds you that softness can be strong, that quiet can be protective, and that yielding is a wise way to stay whole. You lift your hand, and the moth rises like a note returning to its song, leaving a hint of silver comfort in its wake. Let your lower back loosen as if someone thoughtful slid a cushion of night air beneath it, and let the hips receive that support with trust. Your thighs set down their plans to sprint, and your knees sigh as though they have discovered a shaded bench they were always meant to find. Your calves and ankles relax into neutrality, the peaceful middle where nothing is demanded and everything is allowed. We lift again and drift toward the horizon's silver seam, where a lighthouse of moonstone gleams from a cloud cliff, not to warn, but to welcome you home. We alight upon the balcony and rest our hands on the cool rail, and the broad beam sweeps slowly across our faces with the rhythm of your breathing. Every brightening says you are here, and every easing says you can let go now, and between them stretches a corridor whose name is sleep. Allow your shoulders to drop another patient inch, and notice how the base of your skull softens when your head trusts its own resting weight. Let your arms grow comfortably heavy from shoulder to elbow to wrist to palm, and let the fingers settle in a curve that signals receiving instead of grasping. The body understands these invitations without effort because it was designed to return to ease when spoken to with kindness. A bell inside the lighthouse chimes once, round and low, and the sound settles into you like a pebble finding the still center of a clear pool. Concentric ripples move through your chest and belly and hips, and each ring requests another inch of relaxation, and your whole being keeps saying yes. Agree once more with an unhurried exhale and feel the yes widen through muscle and marrow until the yes is all that remains. We step through a doorway of milk-white light and find a conservatory of night, a glass dome where the ceiling is the sky itself stretched just above your breath. A nest-shaped chair waits, woven from the idea of comfort and the memory of patience. and it seems to understand you before you sit. When you settle in, the chair meets every curve with compassionate precision, and the floor holds the chair like the sea holds a quiet moon. A small telescope hums a note that matches your breathing and points toward a cluster of stars that resembles a tiny village wrapped in lamplight. You imagine lanes between the lights, open doors, and gentle voices that never hurry, and you feel welcomed without doing anything to deserve it. Every journey finds rest, and every rest has its journey, and tonight they meet in you without conflict. Breathe in as if filling a calm lake with moonlit water, and breathe out as if smoothing the surface with your open hand. If it feels pleasant, let the exhale drift a heartbeat or two longer than the inhale, since longer exhales whisper safety to everything within. Keep that whisper like a scarf around the ribs, light and warm, easy to wear and easy to trust. We rise again, and the conservatory glows behind us like a lantern left for the late traveler, while ahead an arch forms where two patient clouds lean together like friends. Beyond the arch, curtains of aurora sway in slow folds of green, blue, and violet, their brightness arriving like blessings and leaving like lullabies. The colors graze your cheeks with cool sweetness, and your mind tilts toward quiet the way morning glories tilt toward sun. We float along the edge of the aurora and notice how the colors pulse with your inhale and soften with your exhale, a conversation between sky and lungs. Emerald becomes sapphire, sapphire fades into violet, and violet returns to darkness with a sense of completion that feels like peace. In the hush that follows, stillness deepens and becomes more generous. Below us, a quilt of lakes mirrors everything, and on a few tiny islands, campfires flicker without smoke, small flames keeping company with sleeping shores. Those fires promise that nothing important will be missed, and that the night itself is paying attention so you do not need to. We bow with a slow breath, and the fires bow back with a single spark that vanishes kindly. Let the back of your mouth soften and the throat feel spacious. and notice how each easy swallow clears the path for calm to travel. The tiny muscles around your eyes blur into relaxation, and the sharp edges of thought dissolve like sugar in warm milk. You are learning the mercy of soft focus, which is perfect for rest and perfect for being human. A hush of star snow begins to fall, delicate flakes that glow faintly and melt into comfort before they land. Each flake carries a small blessing that whispers you have done enough for today, and the blessing tucks itself into your chest where gratitude can find it later. Blessings do not require effort. They only ask to be received, and you are receiving beautifully. We follow a narrow stream of moonlight to a terrace garden suspended in quiet, with lilac vines that open and close their petals in time with your breathing. A cushioned bench rests there, and when you recline in imagination, the cushion meets you with the exact softness you have been waiting to feel. A blanket appears, sewn from the night's kindest moments, and it lays across you with a comforting weight that your nervous system understands as safety. Wind wanders through the terrace, smelling lightly of pine and lake water, and your chest rises to greet it with a steady trust that asks for nothing. Your exhale leaves like a content traveler easing into a familiar chair, complete and unhurried and quietly happy. With each breath, your body edits away the extra notes of tension until only harmony remains. We lift again softly, carrying the feeling of the terrace inside us, because places of ease become portable the moment you recognize them. Far ahead, a moon bridge spans a velvet valley, its railings threaded with pearled dew placed there by the patient hands of dawn. We drift across the bridge with the grace of a feather finding its pillow, and the valley below keeps every secret without effort. At the end of the bridge, a door waits painted the color of first light, and a ribbon on the handle reads, "Welcome home," in easy handwriting. Open the door in your mind and find a room that looks like the inside of a contented sigh, all soft corners and warm absence of urgency. There is a bed made of cloud and memory foam and kindness, and it remembers every position where you have ever felt completely safe. Lie down in imagination and in truth, allowing your physical body to mirror this comfort while your mind glides. The pillow cups your head the way a shoreline cups a quiet sea at low tide, and your face smooths into its dream expression before sleep has fully arrived. Your hands rest in shapes that mean receiving instead of reaching, and your legs find the angle that says yes to support. A lullaby begins not from instruments, but from the architecture of the room itself, from the way air holds you, and from the way time softens its edges. The melody pairs with your inhale and your exhale until it feels as though breath and song were written together on the same gentle page. You become the quiet kind of listener who understands that gentleness is a music that does not need applause. If any last knots remain, invite your next 3 exhales to visit them like warm water poured over a rope. On the first exhale, the knot loosens. On the second, the knot forgets its job. On the third, the knot learns how to be ribbon again. Your body smiles in that secret way bodies know, and everything agrees to soften a little more. We dim the room as if a hand has turned the lantern from bright to soft, to the exact glow your eyelids prefer. Beyond the window, night moves at the pace of your breathing, and a thoughtful star glides by as if waving you toward dreams. Distance and nearness blend into simple rightness, and the conditions for sleep feel perfectly complete. If a thought rises to ask how much longer, answer with the voice of the tide that respects your shore, saying as long as it takes for kindness to do its work. Sleep arrives like a tide that never rushes, and you can already feel it touching toes and ankles and knees with cool reassurance. Let the tide climb to the level of your comfort and allow weightlessness to translate itself into peace. We gather the places we visited and let them fold into a quilt that tucks around you from every side. A patchwork of lighthouse glow, aurora hush, star meadow bloom, and terrace breeze. You are held by the images you invited and the sensations you allowed, which means you can call them back anytime you wish. This is the gentle craft of rest, and you are practicing it with quiet mastery. Place attention lightly behind your heart where a candle burns without smoke, warming without heat, and illuminating without glare. The candle is not for seeing, it is for feeling welcomed by your own presence. You do not need to tend the flame tonight, because presence is generous fuel and there is plenty. Feel the mattress hold you with devotion, the pillow cradle the back of your head with understanding, and the blanket make a promise it intends to keep. Your breath remains slow, your face remains smooth, and your thoughts drift at the speed of friendly clouds across a wide and patient sky. You do not chase them because you do not need them, and they are happy to wander into the soft edges of night. The outer sky continues its silver breathing above you, and your inner sky answers. Two quiet choirs humming the same tender note. You do not have to listen closely because the sound reaches you without effort and stays for as long as you like. You are here, and being here is exactly enough. If a memory knocks on the door of attention, greet it with kindness. Offer it a comfortable chair at the edge of the room, and let it rest there while you rest here. Not every story needs a conclusion tonight, because some chapters close themselves when the reader is sleeping. The book of you knows how to keep your place, and the morning will find your page without stress. Breathe in and say quietly inside, I am safe in this moment, letting the words glide through you like a warm ribbon that settles across your chest. Breathe out and say, I am allowed to rest now, letting the ribbon tuck itself beneath your heart, where the message can glow in silence. Let the phrases dissolve into feeling, because feelings are the most faithful caretakers in the house of rest. We coast now, lower and lower, the way mist settles on grass without noticing the last inch. Your breath is the mist, and the grass is the night, and the landing is already happening because that is what breath does when it is trusted. Arrival was always the plan, and your body has followed it beautifully. If there remains a small place that still clings, perhaps a shoulder or the hinge of a hip or a tiny muscle near the spine, Send a letter of breath addressed to dear friend. Say you may release now and listen for the reply written in warmth that answers, "Thank you for asking so kindly." Friendship with your body is a practice, and tonight you are practicing with quiet brilliance. Outside, the night keeps a generous watch, and somewhere far away a breeze changes direction without urgency, reminding you that gentle changes are still changes and they count. You are changing into rest with the same patience, and every system hears the invitation. Let the invitation keep speaking in the language of breath for as long as you wish. Soon the sentence of the evening becomes only one word stretched into a long and lovely tone, the kind of tone that holds you without gripping. You are safe to surrender to it, and you are free to float within it, and you are welcome to let it carry you where you most need to go. The sky knows the way, your breath knows the way, and your body knows when to arrive.